What was your first success as a screenwriter?
Well, my first, obvious success was Love Liza. Writing my second script I wrote was a drama. I wrote it in '96, the fall of '96, and 6 years later at Sundance, it won the Sundance, the Waldo Salt Award, and it was bought by Sony Classics and released by Sony. And that was definitely the first sort of obvious success. I mean, I'd had other things like Option and things, but that was like sort of the conspicuous success. And my brother, my little brother, I showed it to him Labor Day weekend, 1996, and we were both back at my mom's house, and we both happened to be there. And I said, "Oh man, you got to read this." And I just written the first draft. And I said, "I think this is kind of good. And I don't know. I think this is kind of cool." He read it and he was like, "I want to do this." And he had not shot Boogie Nights yet. He was about ready to shoot Boogie Nights that fall. And so that fall he shot Boogie Nights with Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson read Love Liza and actually gave it to Michelle Satter at Sundance, and they considered it for the lab, the Sundance lab. So that was very exciting. I ended up moving out to LA in February of '97, and then we started the process of trying to get the movie made, and then eventually it was shot in 2001. Kathy Bates was in it. So that all that stuff felt successful. The idea that, Sundance was interested, and it's great because, I just had a short film that I wrote and directed at Sundance in 2015, and Michelle Satter is still there, and she came up to me, and we still know each other from when she called me on the phone, and I was in upstate New York in the fall of '96. And she interviewed me about Love Liza, and Paul had referred the project to them and said, "Hey, you should check this out." And she, responded to the script. It didn't get in to the lab, but they were always tracking it, and then obviously it was accepted. And Paul's movie, Hard Eight, was developed. It was originally called Sydney, and his first feature was developed through the Sundance lab too. So that was the relationship with the lab that Paul had. So all of that stuff was exciting, I think, but the most popular sort of thing that people would say would be that, Sundance, he won the award or whatever. But there was many other things that populated my professional career that were like, oh, this is exciting,
When you sat down to write Love Liza, was that in your mind that it was going to have a trajectory like that? And did you expect...
I sat down to write Love Liza, and I'd been driving a cab for 3.5 years in Chicago, and I had just quit like about a month before because I'd sideswiped a limousine, and I was sort of having this like mental breakdown or whatever, and I was like, I just want to write, and my family gave me a little bit of rent money, so that summer I just didn't work. And I was like, I gotta do something. And so I remember August 5th, it's very clear. I woke up and I had written like 2 pages of it, and I wrote in like 18 days. I just sat there and wrote the whole thing. And I always wrote it with a sense that I would play the guy, or not really like I would play the guy, but I did write it with a sense that, what if I was gonna play the guy? And that really helped me as a writer, It was like, it really got me, I don't know, haven't really done that a lot since then, but I should probably think about that sometimes because it was really effective. I was like, what if I played this guy, And it was that Orson Welles-y type of thing where it was like, I'm gonna do everything like sort of when I was a kid. And I did this, so I wrote it like that, I didn't write it for my brother, and I showed up to my brother just because I was like, this is good, man. And I knew it was good, and I gave it to him, and he was like, I gave it to him at like 10:30 at night, or something, and he read it. And the next day he was like, I just read the whole thing, and he totally responded to it. He was like, I want to do it. And I think it's like historically you look back and people are like, it looks like, I guess it was like two brothers making this movie together, but my brother ended up being Philip Seymour Hoffman and doing all these other things. So historically it looks like one thing, but he actually was just an actor who was like, I want to do this role, because it was a cool role. It was hard as shit, but it was, he liked it. And then we went on this journey together, and it was, so yeah. So that's, I'm not sure what the question was, but yeah, so that was what it was.
Yeah, did you expect this type of journey? And it sounds like that wasn't what you set out to do.
No, it was like, it was like, no. You don't expect all sorts of things, and then I didn't expect it would take so long, to make it. It was like, there were so many things you're like, oh my gosh, and you didn't expect it not to do all sorts of things. And then you expect, but we're very lucky because we made a film that a lot of people, there's plenty of people that it's their favorite film, and it's like, I think that's the thing that a writer, I tell people, it's like the greatest success is if you can write somebody's favorite film. Like if they have like a poster of your film, and you might write something that but if they're like, you write something and that's their favorite film, it doesn't get any better than that, because you're never gonna get everybody to like your film, and the money is gonna always disappear. So as long as you have somebody come up to you, and I still have people coming up to me and are moved by the film, tear up when they talk about it, and they go, oh my God, you wrote Love Liza, and it means something to them. And you're like, so it's fortunate, because that is the kind of thing that has guided me, because it's like nothing else matters, except giving your audience that experience. And if you can get that to people, and have some people think it's a crap or whatever, and some people think it's a nepotism job or whatever, and it's just like flimsy or whatever, it doesn't matter, because it's like it's a personal experience. Films are personal. There's plenty of people that, I love Citizen Kane. I think it is genius, and other people just hate it, and it's like, there you go, so.
Were you thinking about the characters while you were driving before the limo accident? Because you sound like you had a lot of time.
I came up with the idea for Love Liza because I was when I was driving a cab, I came up with ideas all the time, and it was one of those ideas. I just saw a woman, maybe she was homeless, something, but she was by the gas pumps at a gas station. As your taxi driver, you're living at the gas station a lot. And you're always there. And I saw her, and I was like, and it just put in my mind of this idea of like a yuppie, which is not an acronym that's used anymore, but it's like a professional white guy in a suit suddenly starting to huff gas. I just saw this guy is like huffing gas. And that was the germ of the idea. And then I had to come up with a motive. And then I came up with the motive, and then I started writing it from there, and then I created everything from there, and I came up with like a sort of a MacGuffin-y hook, so to speak, around 10 minutes into the movie, and it's that hook sort of drove the movie, and then I just, like I said, I just sort of splatted it out, and I honestly, I probably could have been rewritten a bunch more times, it just wasn't. But it did get rewritten, and I did fix a little bit, and as a baby writer then, so that's where it came from.